do a small check. Okay. We're ready? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Big Data Week conference. My name is Alex, and with my colleague Bogdan, we're delighted and thrilled to be here with you all today. We have been with ING Hubs for the last 6 to 7 years in various roles, but now focusing on platform architecture. In today's presentation, we will dive into data lake practices while focusing on the trifecta: accessibility, observability, and usability of data. Whether you're a technical expert or a business decision maker, this presentation aims to arm you with actionable insights and to empower you to have an enhancement over your data accessibility, gain clear data observability, and improve overall data usability. The presentation will consist of 3 parts: a content presentation, a demo session with 2 of our main things that help us, and a Q&A session at the end. As they say in show business, let's get it cracking. How many of you have ever heard about the Challenger shuttle? Okay? The Challenger shuttle blew off in 1986, 70 seconds after liftoff. But what does it have to do with data? Well, after the tragedy, it came to light that the people that could have prevented this tragedy from taking place did not have access to proper and compelling data that would have brought to light the fact that the material out of which the ring seal at one of the rocket boosters was not capable of withstanding low temperatures. So as you can see, already a few years back, we already had issues with data accessibility and data usability. But data will always throw a lot of challenges at our side. Why? Because we're living in an ever-expanding a universe of data. We're producing 3.5 quintillion bytes of data each and every day. That's 18 zeros for the curious minds out there. It's no wonder that we expect that throughout 2026, we will have a 30% increase in the data lake marketplace landscape. But with so amount of data, you would expect that organizations are actually using more and more data. Well, recent studies have shown that companies are only using between 37 and 40% of the data that they have at their disposal, which is quite low. Also, with data comes also great responsibility. You need to ensure privacy, governance, protection. So we expect that throughout 2024, 75% of the personal data of the global data population will be protected. Take into account this influx of data and the ever-increasing regulatory demands. It's no wonder that 43% of the IT decision makers are literally biting their nails, not knowing if their IT infrastructure will handle future data developments. So in ING, we had to set our mission to try and see what we can do. So picture, if you will, a vibrant sun at the center of our universe. That, my friends, is data. Around it, there are a lot of concepts, elements, and new practices from which we inspire. Things like marketplace, mesh, fabric, data factory, I'll get to it. New practices for governance and privacy, new storage options, new possibilities to do ETL or ELT processes. But we focused only on 3 of them. The marketplace, the place where you shop for your data, the data products that are crafted based on your specific needs, and data factory. And no, we're not talking about Azure Data Factory. This is something that we build internally in ING, and Bogdan will have a nice demo around it. These 3 elements play either a smaller or bigger role in the trifecta: observability, usability, and accessibility. But we consider them as a foundation that will help us in ensuring we have an effective data use. As any good mission, we need to have a scope, a goal, a purpose. Our purpose is to provide you with a comprehensive global data platform that truly makes you data-enabled. Out of the promises for this platform, we will have the one marketplace, a single data hub from where you can ingest, analyze, and consume data. It is the first step in breaking down the data silos and making data instantly available. Speaking of making data instantly available, we're also talking about data accessibility as a second promise. Yes, it is all about making it instantly available, but it means to also make it accessible, easily readable, and also be used in different real-time analytics or informative decisions. In the age of big data, knowing where your data is, how it's being transformed, where it is being used, in which legal context or business context is being used, is just as important as having the data in the first place. So through the global data platform, we will ensure that we will have also a transparent layer into your data management operations, achieving that observability of data. As any good promises, we had some enablers that brought us to this. So we wanted to simplify and consolidate. So we didn't want just to consolidate, let's say, all of our storage options. No, we had to simplify and consolidate all of the processes near the data. Things like getting rid of all of the usage agreements, so all of the emails that go back and forth, everything that we needed to reduce the time to market, to get the data next to our users. It will be a mistake to overlook things like regulatory compliances, safe and secure services that need to be provided in a secure SLA, the fact that we need to come up with standards and best practices, and because we're talking about metadata and governance and data, we need true data management capabilities to capture those elements. So now you have our mission, you have our purpose, we need the solution. For that, in the blueprint, I know it's mostly white, so ignore that, but the blueprint focuses on 3 layers. The foundation. You've seen a lot of common elements on the foundation, so things like storage options, automation and pipelines, APIs, frameworks and standards, and most importantly, the governance. We need the data catalog. We need to ensure that we capture proper governance for our data. These are just some of the technologies that we're using in ING. I think most of them are familiar to you, but we're ever expanding them. As part of our next layer of the solution, we need to provide data engineering, which focuses on 3 concepts: onboarding of data, standardization, and consuming of data. Within this layer, you would gain capabilities like, for example, you would automatically generate data quality checks, either simple or complex, regardless of the dimensions. You would be able to make use of our Pride and Joy data factory. Yeah, it's a slightly fancy name that we come up with, but it's just to emphasize that we automated everything that you need for ingestion and consumption, regardless if we're talking about batch or stream. And Bogdan will continue on with the data factory later on. At each step, you would be querying, producing, and you would need to be able to publish metadata. So having a proper query engine that is connected to the metadata is really important. All of these elements help you in the pre-productization of your data. That involves cleansing, analytics, quality, and enhancements. The last layer, and of course is not the only one, but these are the 3 ones that we're focusing on, is the data marketplace. That also has 3 main areas of focus, which is the data marketplace management, the product shop, and the product curation. Within this layer, you would be able to create data products. You'd be able to see usage statistics of your data products, who's using it, who copied it, who moved it. You'd be able to search based on metadata or actual data elements. Once you find it, you order it. You would be able to close that gap with the producer and the consumer, so that exchange of data that is killing our processes most of the time. As any good marketplace, you also need to provide a feedback possibility. This gives incentives in 2 directions. One, it allows you to create better data products for the future, and it also helps you identify other potential consumers that are interested in your product. But all of these will not be possible without having proper metadata and governance. Through them, we can ensure accessibility and the security layer that we're interested in, not just the availability. With proper metadata and governance, you would be able to have a grasp over the data ownership. You would be able to preview, or you would be able to access data sets without you having to worry for things like, am I allowed to or not? And also think about retention. So the regulators are quite pushing us for the retention situation. So knowing where data is, how it's being used, what are the transformations, does it have a legal hold, helps you a lot in also establishing a proper retention strategy based on anonymization or hard deletion. But what is the link between the marketplace and the data engineering layer? Well, the data engineering layer, think of it like the fulfillment, the provisioning layer for the marketplace. So after you have completed all of the exchanges, the shopping experiences and everything, what? You need provision, right? You need to deliver the data somehow. With proper orchestration and with a proper mesh of services in the back, we would be able to achieve that seamless availability and accessibility layer towards data. But within your supply chain, you have also another crucial participant, and that is the end user. If you look at the center bottom, you would see, yeah, it's not right at the center, but at the center bottom, you would see the end user. The end user is only interested in accessibility. Well, it's either from source systems or from authoritative source systems. But we will make sure that we will also give him access to the catalog and to the marketplace. It's our responsibility to make sure that each and every source system, an authoritative source system, it's well discoverable and described in the catalog. Otherwise, this entire flow of chain will not work. With each ETL or ELT process, this will be accompanied by lineage or traceability that will be captured in the data catalog and also be used in the marketplace for those usage statistics and observability of data. The data steward will need to enrich the metadata and the data, otherwise the catalog will not work. So if we achieve these elements around the end user, we're actually achieving a unified security and access towards the user without him ever having to worry about the data flow itself. But I think you've heard quite a lot about what we thought about our solution. I would like to invite Bogdan to the stage to, actually you're on the stage, to continue on and to explain how we mapped ING challenges towards this solution. So Bogdan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Alex, for the nice presentation. So guys, please take a closer look at this image. At the first glance, everything might seem to be very well organized. However, upon taking a closer look, you can see a variety of servers, multiple input and output interfaces, as well as some structures that are not that easily accessible. Additionally, some of the boxes are not even connected to anything. Well, this is a common situation that can be found in multiple large organizations, and ING makes no exception of this. Creating those structures is only part of the journey, but for today, we are focusing on making them run more efficient. And this is where you have seen that improving your data accessibility, knowing where your data is, who uses it, understanding that, will greatly optimize your data management landscape. On the screen, you can see some details about our data lakes. In ING, we have 18 data lakes, which represent multiple countries or programs. Each country have a different or a slightly different regulatory requirements. Hence, you can imagine we simply could not keep them in sync from a technology point of view. Second, in ING, we use a private cloud. And in this private cloud, the data lakes use more than 900 virtual CPUs and 2,000 terabytes of data. Those numbers are continuously growing as we need to scale up to onboard new programs. More than 2,000 users access our data lake production environment on a daily basis. They are bringing in new data, they are consuming data, they are generating reports, and so on. And another interesting fact is that in ING, we have more than 4,000 applications running in our production environments. You can imagine that this can create a very complex ecosystem, but also the data lakes plays a very important role in that. Next, we've looked throughout the organization, and we want to address 3 challenges. And for 2 of them, we've also prepared a demo. The first piece of the puzzle represents the capability to enable our users to go shopping for the data that they need. So let's dive a bit deeper into the marketplace, where my colleague Alex also prepared a nice demo of our vision. A data marketplace represents an ecosystem where users, organizations, and different data providers can meet up, buy, sell, exchange data assets and data products. A good implementation of the marketplace will provide you with lots of benefits. Your data will be liberated and democratized. Users which access the marketplace will be able to search for data products, but also request new data products that are not already present on the platform. Data agreements can be signed and put into action directly on the marketplace. Think of it as the place where demand meets supply inside large organizations. We've looked onto the market, and we have seen that many vendor-specific solutions that implement the data marketplace are just free text search over descriptions, meaning that they will connect to your existing metadata repositories and will only show you information. In ING, we want to take this step one step further to actually deliver the data or put the data in the hands of our users. We're coming up to our second challenge. It involves establishing reliable data sources. Where are we in our data journey, you might ask? Well, we now have all the needed ingredients. We have data lakes, we have data analytics platforms, but end-to-end, we are still not in the right place. We still have lots of data confined to the source, meaning that applications will have a hard time actually reaching that data. Extracting rapid insights from a large data set still poses challenges. Second, not all our applications create and store metadata in central repositories. This can translate to the fact that most of them need to have specific business knowledge in order to tap into that data. Responsibilities and procedures are not that well defined, unfortunately. And you can imagine that this can create a lot of friction between consumers and producers of the data. And last, even the customer feedback is not delivered in a timely manner or is not complete. And we have seen that this can create communication issues as well as different escalations in multiple parts of the organization. For this, we have a new solution. Introducing here data products, guys. Data products, much like any other product in your day-to-day life, represent ready-to-be-used entities. What makes a data collection into a data product represent the additional attributes that surround it in order to make the data available. First, a data product is built on top of data from any source. Files, streaming data, APIs, you name it. Second, a data product will also offer a consistent interface to really access the data. Then, the data product will have multiple characteristics on top of it. You will be able to check the schema of the data and different multiple characteristics around the schema. You will be able to check samples of the data before actually buying the data product. A rating system is also in place for the users to check previous comments or ratings left by other consumers. Access controls, error management, audit logs must also be in place to offer an optimized experience to the end user. And all of these characteristics and many more others will really help us put data in the hands of more and more users in our organization. Our last challenge is to really unify all our local solutions into one self-service application to enable for faster ingestion and consumption of data. And here, you can see Data Factory. The Data Factory is a platform built in ING to cater for ingestion and consumption of the data. This service supports ingestion of structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. We also support batch ingestion, streaming ingestion, alongside with schema detection and evolution. Our engine can generate multiple types of artifacts. We can generate ETL jobs for the batch ingestion. We can fully generate data streaming jobs starting from existing metadata. And those jobs can be run locally on the data lakes backend or centrally on the services backend. The engine works in a pattern-based approach, meaning that when we have new historization or new ingestion requirements, we can simply code a new pattern and plug it into the engine. By also employing data quality rules and data governance checks, we ensure that our generated artifacts are fully compliant with our regulators. And now I will show you a demo about how we generate data streaming artifacts. First, this is the Data Factory service. We log in with the multi-factor authentication. You are prompted with two options here, batch ingestion and streaming ingestion. For today, we want to work with streaming. Also, there are two options in the journey, to generate the artifacts, but also manage the existing artifacts. You can start and generate from an Excel file, like we did it traditionally, or using the web interface in this case. If there are existing mappings done by your users, you can just select one and continue where you left off. But we want to start from scratch. We select here, we input a Kafka topic, we select the environment in which the topic resides in, and the version of the schema, which can be found in the schema registry. We are going to our API and Stream Marketplace to get the details about the topic. We can see the environment, we can see the arrow schema, and of course the version of the schema. In our demo, we want to use the latest version. Now, we simply take events from the arrow schema and the actual event and map it to tables. We have one event and we map it to existing tables. We infer all the fields, attributes from the arrow schema, and we can map them one-on-one with the database table columns. For the first one, we added 3 columns. We can also filter not by only the selected columns, but also by any other columns that's available in the arrow schema, or attributes, sorry. You click Save, and you want to take another event and map it to another table. Again, you will input the event name and the table name, and repeat the same procedures. This is done automatically by the engine. It takes the arrow schema, parses it, and provides the user. We support most of the arrow complex data types. Simply select whatever you like, and the engine in the end will map that details to your columns. You can see in the next step that we have 2 events mapped to tables with 3 fields and 1 filter, and 4 fields and 0 filters. You can edit or you can remove those. Next, we want to configure the generated artifacts. We also generate Kafka topics, and we also generate arrow schemas and push them automatically. You put here a team prefix to prefix your topics. You can put the decryption key if the input topic is encrypted or not. And we can also generate Kafka Connect connectors. In ING, we call Kafka Connect, because it's a custom flavor of it, F55, or feature 55. Here, you need to input some details about to connect to Kafka, the trust store, the key store, and also the database details where you want your data from Kafka to be ingested. Keep in mind that this is a test environment. If you want to enable the dead letter queue, so events that cannot be processed are sent to a separate topic automatically, and you input the topic name, of course. And if you want to enable the tombstone handler, null events can be sent again to a separate topic, or you can receive different types of error messages. Next, the last step of our journey is to actually generate the artifacts. And we can generate multiple types of artifacts here. Now the engine is working. We can generate arrow schemas, DDLs, DMLs, which is the actual Flink SQL job, and the Kafka Connect connectors. So we intend to provide the user with an end-to-end experience. We leverage the ingestion with this service. The users will no longer have to do this manually, for example. I will show you also the package of the generated artifacts. So we have the DML. This is the actual Flink SQL job, which reads from one topic and outputs to other 2 topics. This is generated, and this will be run in the back end of the service, for example. These are the DDL. In Flink SQL, topics are being input as DDLs. So we fully generate both for the input topic as well as for the output topics that we want to send data to. Then we have the arrow schemas. We generate 2 arrow schemas which contains a single record, and we can map each of the attributes one-to-one with the columns. with the database table columns. And we also take from the Avro schema registry, we pick up the schema from the input topic. And last, we generate Kafka Connect connectors JDBC, since we use also Oracle for our data warehousing. And here, this is a pretty standard connector. We also added some custom flavor where we encrypt our passwords and decrypt our passwords, because we are not allowed to keep them in the clear. And you can see the options that we selected, like error handling. We can click Finish now. And what we can do is check also existing artifacts. We also support versioning of the artifacts, so you will be able to pick up an existing artifact, choose the topic name and the version that you want, and you can re-download it. Work in progress for us is to also use pipelines to automatically deploy this for the user and run it for them. We also have Kafka Connect clusters, so they will also not bother deploying a local Kafka Connect, but they will be using the services cluster. And now I will let my colleague Alex to show you a demo, a nice demo of the data marketplace.
Thank you, Bogdan.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so a few things to mention regards to Data Factory. It is in production. We couldn't show you the production, of course, but we had to at least do something on test. In regards to the vision and how it links to the marketplace, as you can see, we now first focused on a self-service experience that is mostly towards a persona like a technical person, but with the combination of marketplace and the fabric and other concepts, we're going to change the interaction with Data Factory, in which this will become an actual backend, an actual fulfillment layer of the marketplace, where the metadata flows differently, and also business users can start a journey for streaming as well. A disclaimer for the marketplace. This is still yet at a vision state. We're still developing it, but the core elements that were presented by Bogdan in that nice slide with the center swimming lane can be identified in the marketplace. We're ever enhancing it, and we still need to add a lot of things and to make them better. So, you would connect to the marketplace. I don't have multi-factor authentication. You would be greeted by a page where you can see multiple information about data products or consumers or providers. Also, some statistical information about, for example, if you need to approve a request for a data product, or you have different products that you already created and how many you have. Then you also have a central announcement layer as information for you. But now we're going to go and actually create a data product. You would have here the possibility to input the metadata to describe your data product. So for example, the description, the data owner, if it's related to another data product, because we can combine them. Afterwards, you can also add the technical details. So technical metadata, but it's not per se at this moment that is needed. You can also add it at a later stage. But you can also add other metadata information like retention period, the price, because we need an incentive for producers, right, to produce data products. And also other types of information that are relevant for a potential consumer. You can also upload a sample file if needed to give access to a user. But now you register it, you can leave a comment, so as a sort of announcement towards the data products. You would be able to even fill in the additional technical details, or you can publish it or send it for review. Once you publish it, it will be available in the data products catalog. And that's where we're going next. So in the data product catalog, you would be able to search based on criteria. So CI rating, the scope, the region, keywords from business terms, for example. Or you would be able to even shout out if you couldn't find the data, but you're interested in one, and give details of the data that you're interested in, and just publish that demand if possible. But now we're going to look into the main catalog part, so transactions streaming. Here you have an overview of what was created previously. You would be able to leave a comment, maybe the data product is not up to par. You can preview the data set, and you can request access. This is where that agreement phase kicks in. So the data usage agreement, this is where you specify your scope of the request. So is it analytics? Is it reporting? You can upload the data usage agreement, so to specify exactly what are the columns, and also consumption details of how you're planning to consume it. Once you fill in these details, you just submit the request, and the request will, of course, go to a data product owner, or the person who owns the data product. Here in this page, you would be able to see things like products that you're already paying for, products that you're waiting an approval for, with which you can still have that collaboration exchange of communication between the data product owner and the consumer. You can edit the information, or you can just remove the request. But now we're going to look into the approved ones, so the one that was allowed. So once you click it, so this is the part that actually kicks in the data engineering layer, that provisioning phase. This is when we start calling in the mesh of services. So if you input ETL, database standards, anything like that, each and every service that is in the back will be called in based on a proper orchestration, and it will either provision the data product, or it will already give access to the consumer, or just one or the other. Now, so basically now in the back, that should happen. So if those layers of mesh of services, that fabric layer is in place, basically the user, consumer, would have access to the data in the format that he needs. Another part that we emphasize a lot is on collaboration and communication. So that's why we have a dedicated vision that we would like to give opportunities for users to ask for data. If they don't see it, or they can't find it, or maybe it's not properly described, you can post an announcement. And this is where you can have that interaction with those users. So, if you remember the slide from Bogdan that explained the capabilities inside of the marketplace, what we did was, one, we liberated the data. We gave the possibility to search for your data. I know the search bar is missing. That's part of the vision that we're still working on. You have that slightly shopping experience. We're still lacking a very nice shopping cart over there. You have the possibility to request access, so to speed up the usage agreements between the producer and the consumer. And then we have the linking point directly with the provisioning. So we're not just doing free format texting, search. So, if we were to summarize all of the benefits and elements that we discussed till now in one single slide, this would be it. We started on a journey to provide a better user experience. We emphasized on collaboration and the fact that we need to provide faster delivery for both ingestion and consumption. We identified three of the main components, which are the marketplace, the data engineering layer with the data factory, while all of them are focusing on the three main benefits: observability, accessibility, and usability of data. I would like to thank you all for attending today's session. We've covered a lot of ground around data lakes and the trifecta. As you move forward, we're confident that you will be better prepared in making informed decisions and improvements in your data management efforts. And as Carl Sagan said, a famous astronomer from the late 70s, imagination will often carry us towards the never were, but without it, we go nowhere. So create new solutions, discover new enhancements to your data, dare to innovate. It's important to keep in mind data is just information. It's up to us to use that information wisely. So thank you.
Thank you all.
And we're also open for questions, of course.
If you have any questions. Hey, that many.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Bogdan. Thank you for sharing this news with us. The question that I have for you is, after a user creates a request for accessing the data, how fast will he get the access to the required data?
Want to pick it up? Yeah. Well, as any good architects, we love a really nice answer. It depends. So, yeah, I can't give you a clear timeline. It depends also, so for example, think of it like this. If you have a consumer that doesn't provide you with the correct information for you to make a proper assessment, if, I don't know, you're using it in analytics scope, but you're saying that you're using for reporting. You're not giving all of the security baseline details that are needed for your flow. So that exchange can increase tremendously the time span till you actually get access to the data. Now, in terms of what happens afterwards, well, we expect that it will come down to 1 hour, give or take, to get...
It also depends if the data product is already provisioned in its state. If it's already provisioned, we can just provide you the access immediately.
Thank you. And the second question, I noticed that you have also a price. When you created a request for, for a data product, there was a field of price.
Yes.
Price of, meaning
that's a very good question. We also intend to onboard on this data marketplace also external users outside of ING. And for that, ING is also paying for that data. For example, for Bloomberg. They will have access here to onboard.
To add to what Bogdan stated, well, I think most of you might have read the mesh concept and data products thing. It's also a change in how we think in an organization. So for a producer to spend time and invest time and resources and people into actually creating a data product needs some incentives. You can't just put it's free of charge type of thing on the data. So we expect that also the producer will need this type of interaction, or this type of capability to somehow get some benefits out of spending time in creating data products.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? I do have one, if I may.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
I saw you were planning to give access to your users in building artifacts. Have you imagined how to handle that? Do you have a validation and approval layer so that you don't get a chaos in the marketplace?
Yes, we are using Active Directory as well, where teams have different purposes and roles. So based on the roles, if they have the correct roles, they will be able to access the application.
And build any artifacts?
Yes.
Okay.
But basically, you won't have, indeed, each and everybody having the possibility to create data products each and every place. We will have a 4i principle somewhere. We will need to have a clear SPOC and owner that is allowed to start the data product creation. So, as Bogdan said, is also based on role access.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Very impressive numbers. Thank you so much.
Thank you.